fellow Toastmasters, ladies and gentlemen. Growing up in the 60s and 70s, my dad would drive the family around in one of these big old Ford station wagons. I was the youngest of 5 kids. My oldest brother would ride in front with my folks, my 3 other siblings in the back seat. And you know that flat area behind the back seat meant for groceries and other items? That's where I would ride, with the family dog. And well into my 30s, whenever I would go anywhere with more than 2 people, I would automatically take the back seat. It was part of my inner script and a harbinger for things to come. Also, when I was a child, I had a speech impediment. I was born with a malformed palate. Fortunately, externally, everything was fine. But internally, my mouth wasn't shaped correctly. Out of all 26 letters in the alphabet, there was only 1 letter I couldn't pronounce. But back then, I wasn't Sue. I was Susie. Anybody want to take a shot at what that 1 letter was? It was S, yes. So kids would run up to me and say, "What is your name?" And I would say, "Ooey." And the kids would burst out laughing and run off. Pretty soon, I learned to keep my mouth shut. But it was too late. The cat was out of the bag. I was a marked person. And hardly a day passed where I wasn't teased for something. One day, while I was playing on the playground, a group of about 8 kids encircled me. Viciously, they plunged their verbal daggers deep into my heart. "You speak like a retard." Speak like a retard? She is a retard. Look at those Dumbo ears. Like a fox surrounded by hungry hounds, I hurled myself at every gap. But that just caused the kids to draw closer, tightening their stranglehold. Finally, I just erupted into tears and collapsed, sobbing. The kids laughed heartily and walked away. I would come home from school, look in the mirror, and say, "I hate you! I hate you! Why couldn't you be anybody but you?" I was a 7-year-old girl, entertaining thoughts of suicide. But then an incident occurred when I was 12 that began changing that inner script, at least temporarily. I rode the bus to school. And at one particular stop, this beautiful girl would come on board. She had long blonde hair, blue eyes, a dazzling smile that lit up the whole bus. She had a curvaceous figure that she framed in the hippest of clothes. She would saunter down the bus aisle, and the boys would wave. I'd sit in my seat thinking, oh, to be so beautiful and so popular. To me, she was a real live princess. Then one day, she sat down next to a super unpopular boy, whom a lot of the kids teased. When she turned to talk to him, my heart leaped out of my chest because I just knew she was going to share with him some words of encouragement, give him some love. She opened her mouth and she tore him apart from head to toe. But it was a transformative moment for me because it was like I was suddenly in the movies, and that scene faded, and the lights, the cameras were on me. And I saw myself sitting there, my pigtails and braces, plain blue dress, and I realized that I was more of a princess than she was because I could never, ever treat anybody so cruelly. I went on to high school and then college, and I felt happy, had friends. But that negative inner script was still there, dormant, waiting for an opportunity. Sure enough, I married a man who seemed great. But there had been red flags while we were dating. One time, while backpacking up in the Sierras, he turns and says, You know, you're pretty decent for a woman. Words of advice? If your fiancé tells you that you're pretty decent for a woman or a man, don't marry them. Sure enough, shortly after we were married, hardly a day passed where he wouldn't call me fat, ugly, stupid. Hey, I was back on the playground. Familiar script. But then one day he hit me. Struck me so hard it knocked me down. It was the best thing he could have done. Unfamiliar script. And it woke me up. I packed up my things, put our baby in my car, and I drove away. I embarked on a personal growth journey for years. Books, tapes, seminars, counseling. And what I discovered were 2 simple ways to change our inner scripts. Number 1, decide. Decide that you really want to change. I wanted to change. And number 2, when that inner script goes negative, immediately change it to positive. You stupendous, fabulous, wonderful person. Today, I've changed my inner script. I ride in front seats. And I open my mouth and I speak. And people can't shut me up. Change your inner script. And you will change your life. Mr. Toastmaster.